Okay, so we're going to do a build guide for the 5-star KIKORU Shinomiya. Starting with the weapon for her, there are 3 different options you can choose. You can choose the one that I have right here, which is the Axe Mantis 21. This is your 4-star free-to-play. Well, so I mean, you have to summon it, but you know, mostly free-to-play option. It's going to be easier to get than a 5-star weapon. And so what this weapon is going to do right here is give you attack plus 28%, just a straight up 28% attack, which is good. And then when equipped, when the equipped unit attacks a core exposed kaiju, the equipped unit's damage goes up by 21%. So not bad for a 4-star weapon. It's going to be a lot better than like the 3-star version, which only gives you like a base stat of plus 23%. However, the 4-star weapon would not be my primary choice or my first choice. If I had the other weapons, the 5-star weapons, I would choose those first every single time. So that you have 2 5-star weapon options for Shinomiya here, and I'm going to show you those. So one of them you can get from the gacha menu. So if you happen to pull on the standard banner and you happen to pull Shinomiya's weapon, this is like literally the best possible thing you can get for her, the Axe 0112. And so what this is going to do is it's going to increase your slash damage percentage by 20%, which is huge. After the equipped unit activates combat skill, applies attack plus 9% for 2 turns to the equipped unit, max of 3 stacks, so you can stack extra damage. And then before the equipped unit attacks a kaiju that already has a debuff, applies damage dealt plus 15% for 2 turns to the equipped unit. So you get damage dealt longer with this particular weapon than the 4-star weapon, and you're going to get that damage buff anytime the opponent has a debuff, which is a lot easier to achieve than exposing a core sometimes. So that's part of what makes this weapon so good. This is probably the best possible option for Shinomiya. Now, outside of the gacha, there is another 5-star weapon you can get for the character. If you go to the shop tab and you go down to the proof of valor menu and you get enough of these proof of valor medals, you can exchange them in the shop. It does take quite a few though, let that be noted. But I did say the AR Hyperion, for example, in Reno's build guide video, and I literally got a comment from somebody saying that doesn't exist in the game. So here's the menu, here's where these extra 5-star weapons are. Hopefully this helps you guys out a little bit if you're looking for alternatives to the gacha weapons, right? So for Shinomiya, you're going to be trying to get the Axe Var, and so what this is going to do, after the equipped unit attacks, applies attack plus 7% to the equipped unit for a max of 3 stacks. After the equipped unit causes a kaiju to be core exposed, applies damage dealt plus 12% for 2 turns to the equipped unit. So basically this one is like the upgraded version of the 4-star Axe, kind of similar in a way, but this one does also have stacking, but it does require the core to be exposed to get that extra damage boost. So a decent option nonetheless for Shinomiya. Now, as for the Uniparts that you want to equip, you are going to want to go for the lizard set if at all possible. And once you get further in the game and you progress further, you're going to be able to go for the higher tiers of the lizard set, which are going to increase your overall percentages and overall damage and effectiveness of that set. But when you're able to get a full lizard set on Shinomiya, it's going to give you attack plus 28%, crit rate plus 16%, and then before the equipped unit activates an ultimate, applies damage dealt plus 15% for 2 turns to the equipped unit. So the idea behind Shinomiya is just to give her essentially as much damage as possible between the weapon and the Uniparts. Now, as for Ascension, is it worth it to actually go for dupes on this character? Well, at level 1 Ascension, you're going to get, when attacking a kaiju that already has a debuff, this unit's crit rate is increased by 15%. So if you run Shinomiya with someone like, for example, Reno, very easy to achieve, and that's a lot of extra damage. For getting her 2 duped, turn duration of defense debuff applied by ultimate plus 1, so that means you're going to get there's a defense debuff from Shinomiya. We'll talk about that when we get to her skills, but basically she lowers the defense of the enemy. This is huge right here because she does it for, I believe, 2 turns. If you can up that to 3 turns of defense down, and then you're allowing your other teammates after her to do like huge massive amounts of damage, that makes this Shinomiya like actually invaluable for that 1 skill alone. And I feel like when you get her to 2 dupes, it kind of almost moves her up on the tier list a little bit. It makes her actually insane. For 3 dupes, normal attack passive skill level +2, and then normal attack passive skill max level +2. At 4 dupes, your ultimate gauge charge rate is going to go up by 10%. At 5 dupes, your combat skill, ultimate, and follow-up skill level will go up by 2, and their skill max level will be up by 2 as well. And then if you get her fully duped out at dupe 6, after activating your ultimate, this unit's tip-top shape will not be consumed. That means you're going to be able to maximize your damage the whole time because she's able to stack this thing called Tip Top Shape, which we'll talk about when we get to her skill. So do I think she's worth duping out? I think it's like it goes one of 2 ways. I think you either get her to dupe 2 and call it good because dupe 2 is actually just a massive buff for her. Or you try to get her to dupe 6. Those are kind of, there's no in between in my opinion. Otherwise you keep her at dupe 0 because you're not trying to spend money. But if you are thinking about duping her, at least go for dupe 2. And then if you want to go beyond that, you might as well just go for dupe 6 at that point. But at least dupe 2 is my recommendation for this Shinomiya. Now, as for skills and upgrade, we'll go over all the skills here and which ones you should be upgrading first. So to start with the additional passives that you get from leveling her up. So for hitting level 40 at the start of battle, this unit's ultimate gauge gets +60, which is nice. That means she's going to be able to get an ultimate a lot quicker. And then if you hit level 60, if Tip Top Shape is at 1 or more stacks, this unit's effect hit rate is +30%. So that's another benefit to keeping the Tip Top Shape stacks without losing them from ascending her. And then at level 80, when attacking a kaiju that has 50% or less remaining HP, this unit's combat skill damage gets an extra 20%. It's not quite, kaiju number 8's level, but still, that is a nice additional boost. Okay, now as for her skills, her basic normal attack here is going to deal slash damage equal to 55% of this unit's attack to a single kaiju. It's very meh. The rotary slash is decent for the combat skill because it's going to deal a significant amount of damage to one kaiju, but then it also deals slash damage to the adjacent kaiju, so this can help get rid of different shields and stuff like that. And then for the ultimate is probably my favorite part of her kit. Before attacking, when Tip Top Shape is at 3 stacks, has a 100% base chance to apply defense, -8.2% for 2 turns to a single kaiju. Deals slash damage equal to 227% of this unit's attack to the target. The biggest thing for Shinomiya though is this defense debuff. If you're using her, just like, instead of thinking of her as an attack damage unit, think of her as a support unit who's going to be able to get rid of shields with the slash attacks and who's also going to be able to do defense down. She suddenly becomes a very good character because of that defense down. And then if you have her at dupe 2, remember that turns into 3 turns of defense down. 3 turns of defense down, and then having like a nuker like Reno on your team can be really, really big. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So I do think this skill is very, very good. And when you enhance it, I'll just show you that the percentage does go up from 8.2% to 9%. As you keep enhancing, obviously that's going to go up even more. And then for her follow-up skill, it's just damage, right? Deals slash damage equal to 66% of this unit's attack to a single kaiju. And then for the passive skill, after activating skills other than ultimate, applies 1 stack of Tip Top Shape to this unit. Max at 3 stacks. After activating ultimate, consumes all of this unit's Tip Top Shape. Tip Top Shape, what does it do? This unit's attack has plus 5.5% damage and extra 11% crit damage. Now, in general, in my opinion, if you are going to be upgrading things, it's kind of a toss-up because look at how the percentage goes up right here from 5.5% to 6% and 12%. It's kind of a toss-up whether you want to do the ultimate or the rising morale. Personally, in my opinion, I think it's better to do the ultimate because I'm going to think of her more in a support role, which is kind of weird, I'm sure, to some people. But I'm going to think of her like that, and I think the defense down is going to be more valuable to my teammates and allies. So I would personally recommend to upgrade the ultimate first. Then I would work on her passive skill because, giving herself some extra damage and crit damage is never a bad thing, right? So it goes ultimate, passive skill for upgrade. Then you want to do your rotary slash since that is an AoE. And then as for the normal attack and the follow-up, it really doesn't matter. Whichever one of those 2 you want to upgrade first, probably the normal attack. But in general, I would upgrade or enhance her ultimate first. So I'll go ahead and do that now just to show you guys that I'm following through on what I say as well. And that is pretty much everything you need to know for Shinomiya there. Last but not least, let me just show you an example of a team I might put her on. So generally speaking, this would be sort of the team I'd run. You can always switch things up a little bit, but the idea is to use Shinomiya as like a defense down character, an AoE sweeping character, to mainly deal with like those smaller kaiju and smaller battles, or like easier battles earlier on in the game. That's really where her usefulness is going to come in, the big sweeping motion, in my opinion. So you'll want to run it something like this. Now, if we were going to build like a nuking team setup for something, you would obviously switch it up a little bit. You would try to run her as like, it's kind of weird to say, she's really not a debuffer, but to run her kind of as a debuffer with maybe like 2 nukes. Maybe you'd run Kaiju number 8 and Reno, and then some sort of support buffer unit is what you would want to run in general. But just for like the basic beginner game like team that you might want to run, this would probably be the team you want to run, just to help you kind of clear enemies quickly and efficiently when it comes to those smaller kaiju at the beginning of the game. That's pretty much it for her build guide. If I missed anything, let me know down in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the video, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel. Peace.